I want to talk to you about this budget thing. So in the U.S. this week, I'm sure everybody's heard it, that the Congress had to pass a continuing resolution to fund the government, and if it wasn't done by Friday, I think it was Saturday at midnight, then the government was going to have to be shut down. And as Jen mentioned, people wouldn't get paid, things would close, parks would close, all kinds of stuff would happen. Interestingly enough, apparently even the transition between Biden to Trump would have to be derailed to a certain extent, and a lot of the things that they normally do, like counting the electoral college votes, that would have to be postponed, and the inauguration and all those things wouldn't have been able to happen in the ways that we've grown accustomed to them happening. Anyhow, maybe that's why the bill got passed after all, but I don't know. They had a deal, right? There was a bipartisan deal put together. They had it all set out. It was something like 1,000 pages or 1,500 pages, a massive deal. They had this deal put together, ready to go. The Democratic Party had agreed to it, and many in the Republican Party had agreed to it, and they were ready to move forward, right? Move forward, holding hands into the sunset together. It was a nice piece of, my understanding is it was a nice piece of work, and partly because I like it. I like it when the parties have to come together. Here in Canada, I don't know if you're familiar with this, but here in Canada, because we have several political parties, several official political parties, in the last few years, it's often been we have these minority governments. Minority government is when no one party controls 50% plus one of the seats of parliament. A minority government is formed by the party who has the most seats, but again, they don't have the majority of seats. So they have to work with the other parties in order to get anything done, or the government falls and we have another election. And people hate elections. We do not like going to the polls over and over and over again, especially if you can't get your act together and work together. So I'm actually, when I heard that there was a bipartisan deal put together, that's awesome. I was ready to talk about Mike Johnson playing the unifier. He brought people together. And in fairness, he's had to do this a few times. In order to get things done, he's had to count on Democrats to help him get things done. I think they helped save his job once. He needed their help to save his job. So he's no stranger to reaching out to the other side. He's no stranger to making compromise and to making deals with the people on the other side of the aisle. I think that's a really good thing. And then he got a phone call. Some fella that happens to own a company we all know and love as Twitter posted how this bill should be killed, and this bill is no good, and this bill is awful, and whose bill is this? The Democrats or the Republicans? And the next thing you know, Trump is involved, and there's a whole bunch of Republican members of Congress who are vehement. Now all of a sudden, they're vehemently opposed to this when they put enough pressure on Johnson that Johnson walks away from the deal that he had put in place. Now, again, he's worked with people for the entirety of his speakers since he's been a speaker, right? Speaker of the House. He's had to work with the Democrats. He's had to speak with them. He's had to negotiate with them. He's had to count on them to help him do his job and to help keep the country together and moving forward. But pressure from Trump, pressure from an unelected billionaire. When do we just start calling them oligarchs? Anyway, but pressure from an unelected billionaire and pressure from a bunch of Republicans who are desperately loyal to the MAGA movement. Johnson reneges. He reneges on his deal. And the Democrats, they're fuming. They're angry. That is not okay. Bad Speaker of the House. That is a bad Speaker of the House. And even some Republicans, I couldn't catch her name, but there was a Republican congressperson who was speaking about this to the press, and they said, "How do you feel about Speaker Johnson in this issue? How does it sound like I feel about him?" She responded. They're not happy. Many people were not happy about this. There's a proverb that came to mind as I was thinking about this, because again, one of the comments that came from a Democratic congressional representative was, "Your currency in this institution is your word." He was really upset. He was really upset that Johnson had walked away from the deal that they had all carefully crafted and negotiated and agreed upon. Your word, your currency in this institution is your word. And what he was saying is, Johnson ruined. He gave up all of his currency by breaking his word. The proverb that I wanted to mention to you, Proverb 11, verse 3. "The integrity of the upright guides them, but the crookedness of the treacherous destroys them." Now, those are really strong words, right? Those are really, really strong words. I'm not, the treacherous and the crookedness. If I allow my integrity to guide me, if I get in trouble, it's good trouble. If I allow my integrity to guide me, I can still be a person of my word. If I allow my integrity to guide me, I'm a person that people can count on. I'm a person that people can believe in. If I'm guided by my integrity, and if I've given people, if I've showed that to people, they trust me. They know I'll be where I say I'm going to be. They know I'll be there when I tell them I'm going to be there for them. But if I don't follow my integrity, if I don't allow my integrity to guide me, if I am a person who is easily swayed by others, if I'm a person who is easily swayed to such an extent that I'm willing to go back on what it is that I've said I would do, to walk out of deals that I've crafted, then I can't be trusted. And that's not just a matter that the people on the other side won't trust me. My enemies won't trust me. My opponents won't trust me. It's not, so for Mike Johnson, it's not just that, the Democratic leader, Hakeem Jeffries, won't listen to him anymore or take his calls anymore, which, by the way, he has been still talking to him. But it's not just that the Democratic members of the House won't listen to him. When you break your word, when you break your promises, when you renege on a deal, even your friends see that and they remember it. Even your friends, even your colleagues, even your companions, they see that and they add it to the memory bank, right? They're watching. They don't forget that. And they'll know that, wait a second, if he was willing to break his promise to them, he could be willing to break his promise to me with the right pressure. The right pressure from the right people. He won't do what he says he would do. He won't do what he's told me he won't do. He won't be there for me when he said he would be there for me. Jesus has that famous, "Let your yes be yes and your no be no." And what he was saying there was basically, it comes down to this. If you say you're going to do it, do it. And if you say you're not going to do it, don't do it. Be a person of your word. If you and I, if somebody asks me to do something, I got to do it. If I say I'm going to do it, I got to do it. And it breaks my heart whenever I fail. It really does. It rips me apart whenever I say I'm going to do something and something else comes up and I'm not able to be there when I said I would be there, because I know how it makes me look. And listen, in life, that happens. It's not, God, to have a perfect record would be amazing. It happens. It happens that we fail to do the things that we said we would do, and we have all the reasons in the world to do it. But that shouldn't be our default, and people should not come to know us in that capacity. Hopefully they see us as people of integrity because we're acting with integrity. They see us as people of our word because we do not break our word. And when we break our word, when we have to break a promise, when we fail to do the thing that we said we would do, we are there with humble, repentant hearts. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that happened. Here's what was going on. I beg you, please accept my apology. I'll try. I will do everything I can to make sure that doesn't happen again. Our word matters. When we say we're going to do something, people need to be able to believe us. When we say we will be there for them, people need to be able to believe us. And if they come not to believe us, if they come to believe that what we say is a lie, is a hoax, is just something that we are saying in order to get what we want, then what are we to them? Amen.